Yes.
Okay. Just wanted somebody else to confirm what I already knew. So on your Canvas page today, there is a link to submit that. Let me screen share with you. So if you look at today's page right here, the link is number 3. You can submit them here. So if you click on that, then that is the link to submit it. It'll say submit here for you. And then this is the PDF in case you still need it. That's the PDF right there. If you have missed a day or you've missed some of the, what's it called? Some of the notes, I finally got the videos to work, I'm pretty sure. Like when I record these and I've been posting them, they should be on there and they should be accessible. I did them through YouTube and it looked like the audio was working. So if you clicked on like Monday, like if you couldn't be here Monday or something and you need to go back and look at the PowerPoint, then the video is down here. And it's a YouTube video. So you should be able to access it. And there's one on every day this week for the agriculture revolution stuff. So that's that. So you should all be getting your notes turned in right now. So go ahead and turn in your notes. You had filled those in on Notability. So like I said, the link to submit those, that's what's on number 3. So you can go ahead and submit those there. They're just a little out of order because you guys are my 5th period class. In my 6th period class, we didn't quite get to finish the notes. They had like 2 questions left that we didn't get to. So that's why things are a little bit out of order. But let me pull up. We do still have some things in the PowerPoint to go through. I just think it's stuff that you're going to answer like separately. So let me get that pulled up for you and I'll screen share that in just a moment. If you have not turned in your vocabulary assignment, that was due Tuesday, and I'm going to update grades today and send those out. And so if you haven't done that, it is going to affect your grade. So I'll put a 0 in for that if it's not submitted today. So everybody get that notes turned in, get your vocabulary assignment turned in. Nathalia, do you have a question?
Yeah, so for the which one is it? The agricultural and farming notes. I try to don't see the option for agricultural farming notes too, like when I submit it.
So are you on your Canvas page for today?
Yeah, but like I have to submit it from Notability.
Oh, did you like add them to the same file? So you're saying you can't find it on Notability, right?
Yeah, I can't find it.
Do you know what you titled it, or did it just add it to the same file as your Part 1 notes?
No, it's separate.
Separate?
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure. You're sure you saved them, right?
Yeah. Like for assignments, the only one I have here is agricultural and farming notes Part 1.
Okay. Somebody's mic is making a lot of sound. I'm not sure what to tell you, Nathalia. If you can't find it in Notability, you're just gonna have to search through it on there, or refill it in. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Okay. Daniel, do you have a question?
Oh, I can't see it as well, but Can I submit it in like screenshots or something, if that's possible?
Yes, you can do that. I prefer that you just upload the PDF. But if you need to, you can do screenshots. Just make sure that I can see every single part of it, though. I have to be able to see every single answer. Nadia, do you have a question?
Yeah. Do I have any missing assignments? Because there's nothing on Skyward.
Yeah, so I'm going to update the Skyward today. I would check and see if you have anything missing on Canvas. That's since I was your teacher. I'm just going to go in and delete those old assignments from Mr. House. Even though I know some of you worked hard on them, your scores will still be recorded on Skyward. But to get rid of those weird notifications that some of you are getting about them being missing or late or anything like that, I'm going to have to delete those assignments. So just make sure that you're just looking at anything that since I assigned it. So that would be anything since September 29th. And then, like I said, by the end of the day today, Nadia, I'll have those updated on Skyward so you'll know. Okay? Aaron, yep, you're welcome. Aaron, do you have a question?
I was just gonna say that I accidentally put the notes all in one.
Okay. You can go ahead. So you already submitted the part 1 though, right?
Yeah.
Okay. You can go ahead and submit that to part 2. That's okay.
Okay.
Yep. Also, some of you you submitted your agriculture and farming notes to the climate notes. So if you did that, just know that that was wrong. So I'm not going to grade them on there. Make sure that you submit them to the right submission folder. So it was posted this week, today, and the was the part 2 notes, and then the part 1 notes were earlier this week. So make sure that you posted those to the right thing. If you didn't post them to the right thing, I'm not going to know that that's what you were trying to submit. So make sure you submit them to the right notes. We're not on climate anymore, it's agriculture, so you submit them to the agriculture and farming notes. Any other questions before we get started today? Aaron, did you need to put your hand down, or do you still have another question?
Put my hand down.
Okay, thank you. All right, so for today, there will be a little thing for you to write, notes, but it's not a PDF like normal. All I need for you is to either write it on a piece of paper and take a picture of it, or write it on a Google Doc or Notability or whatever you want to use. There will be a slide at the end of the PowerPoint with some questions for you to answer. So that's where you will need to submit something. So you'll have to either write it down by hand, your answers, or write them down on a Google Doc or anything like that. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and screen share the PowerPoint, and we will finish this PowerPoint today. So yesterday we did this. We talked about farming leading to civilization. That's what we talked about yesterday. So today we're talking about elements of civilization. So after we finish agriculture, we're going to move on to things like old civilizations, ancient river valley civilizations. So Egypt, the Indus River Valley, China. There's 5 of them. So we're going to go over those. And those are all going to be civilizations that were early civilizations that started to form. And so that's what we're talking about next. So this is kind of linking the two together, how agriculture affected civilization, how agriculture caused civilization, really. So the mysterious pyramids of ancient Egypt, the Great Wall of China, and the beauty of Machu Picchu, sorry. Machu Picchu is an old Incan city in Peru, and it's super famous. You should totally look up pictures of it sometimes. I really want to go there one day. So all of those mysteries, the pyramids, the Great Wall, Machu Picchu, those are all impressive remnants left behind from some of the world's ancient agrarian civilizations. But not every civilization has left behind such noticeable clues. In fact, many artifacts from agrarian civilizations fade away with time. But the clues that remain become important windows to the past. Researchers in a variety of disciplines, such as history and archaeology, use both written record and historical artifacts to pose, analyze, and answer questions about the past. They have learned that all civilizations have things in common. So we've learned that all civilizations have things in common, and we've done that through being able to study old artifacts. Who knows what an artifact is? Who knows what an artifact is? Artifact, sorry. I cannot pronounce words today. Natalia.
Is it like something like an ancient, like something like a important ancient thing?
Yeah, so it's like an old, it doesn't have to be ancient, but it's an old something. So like an old bowl or an old piece of farming equipment. The Rosetta Stone is a very old artifact. It translates languages for people. So artifacts give us the ability to analyze civilizations and understand them at a deeper level. So we don't just know they existed. We know things about how they structured their social classes. We know things about how they built their cities or how their religious beliefs influenced their societies, their civilizations. So through the use of artifacts, we're able to figure those out. A lot of you probably have seen hieroglyphics before. Hieroglyphics are ancient Egyptian writings, and those are on different things, and those things can be considered artifacts. And so we use those to understand what was happening, or we translate with them. So the next slide shows a little bit of where these main river civilizations are that we are going to end up studying probably next week. So the 4 river civilizations are Egypt, Mesopotamia, the Indus River Valley, and Shang China. So in all of these places, there are major rivers. What did we say about rivers and irrigation yesterday when it comes to civilization? How do rivers and irrigation play a role in civilization? Who knows? I bet you somebody knows. Who knows why we talk about rivers when it comes to civilization? Nevaeh.
It's easy to farm with fertile soil.
Yes. So it's easy to farm with fertile soil. So they congregate, people would congregate in these river areas because it was easy to farm there. So they're going to be able to get that food surplus. And you need a food surplus for a civilization, right? In order for civilizations to be successful, they need food surplus. So they're going to be able to get that food surplus because they're going to have very rich and fertile soil. And so they're going to be able to use irrigation techniques using the water that flows from the rivers. So those are all really good reasons on why each civilization might have been located near a river. So like I said, there are different forms of writing artifacts that show writing that translate languages for us so we can learn about them. So you have different forms of writing from different, what's the word I'm looking here? Different civilizations. So these writings tell us stories. It tells us about their history. They tell us things about their religious beliefs. They tell us things about how their day-to-day life functioned. So that tells us a lot about what was going on then. And then we can analyze the civilizations with the use of these tools. So we have different structures that have been built over time. Who knows what this is? This is a really famous building. What is it? Or not building, structure. Really famous structure in the upper right-hand corner. What about Daniel? Daniel, do you know in the upper right-hand corner, what famous structure is this a part of?
Is it like Egypt?
It's in Egypt. It is one of the Great Pyramids of Egypt. Yep. So again, they were able to build these like very complex structures. How were they able to build? These pyramids are not small. These are huge. They are ginormous. How were they able to build such complex structures back then? I mean, they had stairs, they had different structures, different buildings, they had hallways. So this tells us a lot about how societies function. This looks almost like maybe some sort of public like pool or something. Obviously it's sunken down into the ground, so I would think that there's probably going to be water or something in there, and it could be like a public bath or anything like that. So all of these structures tell us about the civilization, how they functioned, what kinds of things they prioritized. So there are 8 basic features of a civilization, and we kind of started to talk about them in that chart that we went through the other day. The one with the cycle where it said step 1 was foraging stops, step 2 was farming begins, and step 3 was civilizations forming. And so those 8 things that were listed were the 8 features of a civilization. And those are just the basic features of a civilization. So we have writing systems. Like I said, there are different artifacts that show us different writing systems that civilizations used, and that affected collective learning. We talked about that yesterday. How did writing systems affect collective learning? How did it affect collective learning? Did it slow it down or did it speed it up? Mackenzie.
It sped it up.
It sped it up. It accelerated collective learning. All right. They also include infrastructure as a basic feature of a civilization. Infrastructure, or public works such as bridges, roads, etc. So obviously ancient bridges did not look like this. Ancient roads did not look like this, but they're still considered infrastructure. It's a very complex system to be able to develop roads and things like that. Also different canals. We'll get to talking about aqueducts eventually. Anything like that is considered infrastructure. Having a government or laws, that's also a basic feature of civilization. Having government or laws. What is the purpose of having laws? Why are laws created? Did somebody just sit around and was like, you know, I think I wanted to make it a law that you shouldn't be able to drive more than 45 miles an hour down this road? Or did they say, hey, it seems a little bit unsafe when somebody drives 55, so let's make the speed limit 45 because that's safer. So there's a purpose behind every law, right? So they created laws and governments to be able to kind of control their cities, their city-states, not necessarily control them like complete power, but to be able to keep things safe, to keep things running smoothly. So that is why governments and laws started to form. Art and architecture, very important aspects of history. We learn a lot from the art and the architecture of different periods of time historically. And so we're able to see different structures. There's a lot of Roman structures, a lot of Greek structures that are still standing today. And those are, they say a lot about the society that they're so strong to be able to withhold like hundreds of years of deterioration and still be standing. Art says a lot about societies, about civilizations over time. You can learn a lot about them through what they portray in their art. What kinds of scenes are they showing? What kind of, historically, what kind of topics are they covering? Social classes. This is a big one, I think. Social classes. So a lot of the times you have, your most common like tiered system is that you'd have people like your elite people, your kings, your knights, it depends on your society really, which civilization we're talking about. Some of them include their gods in their social classes, so it just depends. But then you'd have like artisans, merchants, anybody like that, more wealthy average citizens, I guess. And then your lower classes are usually your poor class and your slaves. And so social classes become an important part of deciding if it's a civilization. So every civilization has social classes in one way or another, really. 6, organized religion. Like I said, people would start to organize religion as ways of understanding and explaining things that were already happening in nature. So they developed these beliefs about why these things happened, why they occurred, why, things were happening, and that became their religion. And then religion spreads, and that's another topic that'll be covered later. Job specialization, we've talked about quite a bit. What is job specialization? Who can tell me what's job specialization? Katie, do you know what is job specialization?
Where you're specialized in a job?
Yeah, when you're specialized in a job. Can anybody else help her out with that? Give me some more definition to that. Noah, do you know?
Like specialize in something like you're good in it, like you specialize, like you know what you're doing.
Yeah, you become an expert in something. So you become like a master of one particular job, one or several particular jobs. And the development of cities. Obviously, this is a obvious one, I think. When you think of civilizations, you think of cities. And so we can see here there's a complex city forming. There's different structures. They kind of already have their city kind of blocked off with a wall. You can see these roads coming out of it. So that's an example of infrastructure. There's roads. There's different public buildings probably. This was probably a form of like a religious building almost. And so all of these different elements play a role in the development of cities. All right. So now what I want you to do is, this is the thing that I was talking about how you'll either write it down on a piece of paper or make a Google Doc or write it in Notability or something so that you're able to submit this as an assignment. It says, number 1, list as many aspects to become a civilization as you can recall. List as many aspects to become a civilization as you can recall. So that's going to be those 8 things we just went over. Just list as many of them as you can remember. And then number 2, categorize or classify these things into at least 2 groups. At least 2 groups. You could do more, but do at least 2 groups. And then prioritize the order of those things. So you're going to say which ones are more important. Prioritize the order of these things and explain why you would do those first if you were developing a civilization. So you're going to tell me which elements of a civilization are really the most important ones and why you would include those as the most important ones for your civilization. Can you guys still see the PowerPoint right now?
Yeah.
Okay, I just
Yeah.
want to make sure. I'm going to make this like an assignment really quick. I think it'll help. And please write in complete sentences. Sorry, I should have said that first, but please write in complete sentences.
Can you go over some of the aspects?
Yes, I'm just making this an assignment link really quick so that I can. Whoever has a train going by your house, I can hear it right now.
Oh, it's me. Sorry.
It's okay. Okay, so these were the first three. Okay, and then these are the next two. And these are the last three.
Do we have to write sentences about these or?
No, just write your answers in the sentences. So like for the first one, you would say, the elements of a civilization are, and then whichever ones you wrote down. And then for number 2, you would just say the first group is, and then the second group is. And then number 3, you have to explain, because that one is explaining why you would do those first if you were developing a civilization. So on that one, you have to explain. I am going to go ahead and I'm going to go ahead and stop screen sharing this for just a second, because I'm going to show you that you can see it on your Canvas page today too. Nathalia, do you have a question?
Yeah, I don't get like the how you like classify it in like groups.
Classify the groups. So just say like, if I were going to classify something, I'd say like art and architecture and infrastructure and cities all go together. But writing systems and laws and organized religion all go together.
Okay.
It's just like, how do they make sense to you? That's what you're telling me. How would you group them together in your mind to remember them?
Okay.
There's no right or wrong answer to that one. Okay, so now I'm going to share today's page. Give me 1 second. You will probably have to like reload today's page, but on today's page I added a number 4. You will also submit, it's supposed to say part 3 today. Wow, I can't do anything. You'll also submit part 3 today, and that has a link to like an assignment submission to submit this, what you're writing down right now. And so when you click on that, it actually says the questions too. So if you wanted to like copy and paste those, you could. So when you click on number 4, you will also submit part 3 today. Click on that, and it has all of the questions right there. So you have the rest of the hour to work on that and to work on your exit ticket. And sorry, I said the rest of the hour, but that's class is over now. So the exit ticket for today, what is the Neolithic Revolution? I'll give you a hint. These are all in your vocabulary terms, so you could look at your vocabulary terms to figure that out. And your vocabulary is also on today's page. We'll review vocabulary. So that's also on there. So your exit tickets are all answered in that vocabulary link right there. So if you don't have any questions, that's all I have for you today. You can go ahead and head out, and I hope you have a great weekend, and I will see you on Monday. If you have any questions, though, I'll stay on here for a minute to answer them. Does anybody have a question? I'm going to go ahead and start removing people if you don't have a question. Okay.